Hey, welcome to the Mighty Men brainstorming session.
Woo!
If you don't know us, I'm Heidi Olson. This is Benjamin Olson. We are, we'll give you a quick rundown of what we're here to do. Mighty Men is the upcoming film that we have. We are in the process right now of writing the script, which is what this brainstorming session is all about. And it is a part of the Storytellers 2,000-hour challenge, which means it has a pretty quick turnaround time. Yeah. So that's one reason this brainstorming session kind of has three reasons to it. So the first one is that we are open for your ideas, and we really want to hear feedback from you guys, because a story is bigger than any one person. And really, Ben and I have led, and by the way, he's eating because we haven't eaten supper yet, so just so you know. A story is always bigger than one person, and we've led these kind of discussions before and found it like really helpful just hearing from you know, I have my perspective of the world, Ben has his perspective, but we all have like something unique to bring to a story, and a story always affects us in a special way. So you know, there's usually like there's a solid message to a story, but we're all affected by that message in a different way. So that's the first reason. We're looking for unique perspectives, especially because our time is so short, but just in general, like we want to hear from you and make this a project that's bigger than us. Number two is, let's see if I can remember. I wrote it down. Why don't I just look at my notes? That's genius. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the other reason. Okay, so the second reason is because we want this whole journey to be something that's bigger than just us telling the story of the Mighty Men. We want this to also be something where we're hopefully encouraging you in your storytelling journey, whatever that is, whether you're making films or books or theatrical musicals or plays or whatever it may be. We hope to give you some creative ideas, because the way we have learned is from following other people's journeys. So hopefully that, you know, this kind of thing can inspire you in your journey. And then the third reason is we love people. I love people. So I always love events where we're like talking with more than one person and collaborating. So those are the reasons I came up with. Yeah,
I like the work. I mean, I like doing this because it's like a goal, you know, something I get to work towards. I like people too, just not as much as her. Not in the same way that you do.
That's why we make a good team, because we balance each other out well. So
that is it.
Announcement. I'm gonna make an announcement. Nobody knows this, but now I'm gonna tell you.
I mean, Ben, I don't know this.
Actually, you do know this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ben is now officially the director of Mighty Men.
Wait, sorry for myself. Okay.
So yes, so he will be the one like pulling the vision together, and yeah, and we're actually putting people in place already. We now have a head of costumes. We're working on head of makeup and some of the actors and
everything.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on everything, but specifically, we've gotten a couple people lined up for things like AD and PAs and yeah, like exciting. So anyway,
did you got at the AD?
No, not yet. Anyway, if you are interested in joining us on set, we would still love to hear from you. Or in the post-production, we still need an editor, composer, and all the people involved on that side of things, like the Foley artist and sound mixer at the end. So yeah. So anyway, you can find our links for that. I will actually go drop my Facebook link over in the comment section. So
you just know it.
Because that way you can get to all of the links that we've posted as far as signups and whatnot.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should probably get to brainstorming, because that's why we're here. So if you look over in the comment section, you will be able to see that I posted a link where in the very top comment, I posted a link where you can actually join us via live video. So we would love, like, we want to hear from you. This whole brainstorming session is about hearing from you, because we can talk all day long to each other and come up with our own ideas, but we really want to hear yours. So we're going to kind of go through Mighty Men stuff, and yeah, Ben's ready to go. But go ahead and join us through the live video chat. Hi, Christopher. Chris Arnett is on, so that's awesome. Hi. Yeah, and then if you're not able to join us through the live video chat, then we will also be looking in the comment section too. But I'd love to hear from you via video chat. Okay, so let's jump in. We're going to give you kind of just a foundation of what we have from scripture, as far as understanding the Mighty Men, understanding Benaiah and where we're coming from. And then anytime you have something to throw out, any ideas as far as understanding. Whoa, let's not do that. Anytime you have ideas to throw out, please just stop us and we will listen. That's what we're here to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So the story of Benaiah. I'm going to start there because that's our foundation.
Good story.
In
2 Samuel
23.
He's like the last guy talked about.
Well, he's
in that area. I mean,
he's talked about like he wasn't a part of the top 3 Mighty Men.
Yeah.
There was like that special group, and then Benaiah was like part of the next 3.
It's kind of cool because it goes through like top 3 guys, what they did, and then like the next 3 guys, and it's like it goes through like the commander of the arm of the 30. I don't remember the second guy of the other 3, and then it goes through Benaiah. So he had a special place.
And okay, so just to explain real quick too, like these episodes are called Mighty Men because the story is bigger than one person. But at the same time, we decided to focus on Benaiah because of the book Chase the Lion. You got that on my back there.
Yeah.
We were inspired by the book written by Mark Batterson. If you haven't read it, you should, because it's inspiring to chase your God-given dreams. Not just chase dreams because they're big, not just chase them because they're scary, but chase them because God calls you to chase them. Yes.
Also,
chase the lion.
It's really, really hard to follow a whole bunch of different characters in a kind of a deep, like, personal curve. So instead of trying to fit that in, we just, so it's more conventional route. It makes it a little bit easier for a challenge to follow it.
Yeah, well, and as far as this challenge itself goes, like we're focusing on Benaiah, and we're doing 3 episodes because that's a part of the challenge. But as far as where it goes from here, who knows? We were talking about that today. Like we could start covering more Mighty Men in future, or this could be it. So we'll see. Christopher Arnett says there's more than one person. There's more than one Mighty Man, but as far as like who we're focusing on, basically what we're doing is following the character of Benaiah. Let me read to you who Benaiah was. It says in 2 Samuel 23:20, Benaiah was the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man from Kabzeel, who had done many deeds. He had killed 2 lion-like heroes of Moab. He also had gone down and killed a lion in the midst of a pit on a snowy day. And he killed an Egyptian, a spectacular man. The Egyptian had a spear in his hand, so he went down to him with his staff, wrested the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and killed him with his own spear. These things Benaiah the son of Jehoiada did, and won a name among 3 mighty men. He was more honored than the 30, but he did not attain to the first 3, and David appointed him over his guard. So that's the beginning, just the beginning of Benaiah. And actually, if you look throughout Scripture, he is a very instrumental part of establishing David as king and keeping him on the throne. And then he's a very instrumental part of establishing Solomon on the throne. So really, like he was an instrument of making sure that God's appointed king was on the throne. So anyway, he's kind of a really great character. and we're excited to take him on.
Take him on something for challenging him.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so anyway, to answer your question, Christopher, we are focused on this one character, Benaiah, but within the setting of Israel at the time, within the setting of King David, and within the setting of the mighty men themselves. So we'll be kind of looking at the other mighty men within the context of Benaiah.
Right, and he won't be the only mighty man in the film itself.
Right.
He has some ideas.
Right.
Sound ominous.
So speaking of which, if you're interested in playing a mighty man, we're gonna need like 30 of them. So sign up.
Or I can be a Philistine and get killed.
I mean, that would be fun. It's fun to die on film.
Yeah, well,
I've done it.
the purpose is even more disturbing, but
Anyway.
we're not gonna go there in that movie. We're not gonna pay attention to that.
Okay. So anyway, where else do we need to go? Any thoughts from you guys? Want to jump in on the comments or in video? No?
How do you tell if there's anyone on the Hangout?
I'm not sure. By the way, this is our first time doing this kind of event, so we're still figuring it out. So sorry if we're messing something up because we just don't know. Nope, we don't need to do that.
Wait, is the microphone muted?
No, we're
Oh,
on
it's
another
down.
one. Yeah.
Mute the microphone.
We just don't know. That's playing.
Nice.
That's back. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway, so if no one has anything to add, which by the way, if it's easier. Oh, see, I'm getting. Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm getting.
Some people don't have a Google account, so
Yeah, if you don't have a Google account and you can't like join us on the live stream or can't comment in the comment section, feel free to hop on Joyful Voice Studios, the link that I put in the comments box. Oh, if you don't have comments, I guess you can see that. It's facebook.com/joyvoy, JOYVOI. And you can send us comments and thoughts there because we'd love to see that. Letha Williams says, I would like to see normal-sized men cast as the mighty men. They can make it clear that their strength comes from God, not the fact that they are built like linebackers. I like that. I really.
That's the one
like
cool
that
thing. That's the cool thing about Benaiah. It's like it doesn't talk about his size necessarily, but the first thing it says right off the bat is he's a valiant man. You know, so it has less to do with his stature. You know, not that I would say he's probably not weak. You know,
right.
But he's not like this mountain walking around.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Letha, and I think that would be something good to draw out. Not necessarily that they're all like the same size, but that it's not this our own strength, our own physical strength that we should be relying on, but the strength of the Lord. Speaking of which,
Oh, we're gonna tell them the theme.
yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
That's what I was just
here's something that we would really like your feedback on, because the theme that we have to include as a part of the Storytellers Challenge is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. So we would really like to hear your thoughts on the fear of the Lord and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding, and like how do you draw that out? Like how do you see that fitting into Benaiah's character? How do you see him discovering the fear of the Lord? How do you see the fear of the Lord having played out in your own life? Like all of these are viable things that you could share with us, and we would love to be able to include. Which, by the way, I should mention, if you share thoughts with us, then they may or may not be included in the film. I just have to say that because then no one gets offended later. Why was my data not there? So I have to say that. Okay.
Did you want to tell them this theme? Did you want to go through the 3-act structure with them? Oh, not really.
How much do we keep secret? We have to keep something a secret, I feel like. Maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. So they're gonna find out eventually, but yeah, maybe not.
People are texting.
People are commenting on Facebook.
Yeah. People are sending us comments through other places, so I'm gonna be trying to watch those too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching them as well.
Okay.
I don't know if that one came through for some reason.
Do you want to? Yeah. Do you want to run into this React structure? That's something we're also fitting in.
Sure. So, we had a good idea this time. We're actually going to structure our video, our movie.
What?
Right? Yeah. That was something that the Real Champ did not specifically have, and this is going to be different. It's a lot helpful because that way you have your picture in front of you, and then you just have to fill in the words. You know, of course, it's not that. I mean, it's not that simple, but it helps a whole lot already. So the 3-act structure just kind of goes into the idea of you have. Where's the paper? Hang on.
What? Yeah. Did you move us straps in the living room on Saturday?
No. Oh, by the way, Josiah is here. Say hi, Josiah. It's a surprise appearance from Josiah. You have to show your face.
Surprise hand.
There he is. There he is.
Our first official PA.
Yeah, Josiah is our first official PA, by the way.
Does not mean he's had a PA.
I am a PA.
You are a PA.
He is the PA.
I am. So when you need me, I'll be there.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so the 3-act structure kind of looks like this. Okay, stay up there. That little line curve right there. The idea of it comes from you have a beginning. Well, you have a beginning, middle, and end. You have this point right here at the beginning. I'm going to try to do this backwards. Where you kind of set up your character. And then they have like this moment where it's just normally called the inciting incident. Sometimes it'll happen when it's like at the fall. But they'll have like a fall, you know. Your character will have to come to realization with something that's wrong or something that they don't have right. And then they'll have to decide to change, and they make this hill where they make this climb to be better and to change or to fix the problem. And then it falls again as something worse happens. And then they come to the climax here at the top where everything's resolved. Or where the conflict is resolved, and they have this little bit of time where they just kind of even out the story so you don't end on the battle moment, you know. And that's really tough. I mean, it's really typical for a lot of movies, but when it's done right, I mean, I've seen it in lots of movies, but I've seen it really well done in lots of movies. So that's the basic idea. It's really cool too. So we're fitting Benea's storyline, this first one, anyway, to this. Can I just give me the idea of what the overview
Of the movie?
of the movie and of the series.
Oh, yeah. But give me just a second. So Cami comments and says, I love movies where the main character has human struggles so you can relate and see hope and growth. The way Yahweh has taught me to fear the fear of the Lord, is that he stripped me down to a place where I had no one else to turn to and couldn't do anything in my own strength. Then he has been slowly building me back up to a place of trust and reliance on him and his goodness. He is so much bigger than everything. Also, Rico Cortez has some good teachings. Mom has mentioned on the fear of the Lord, on what the fear of the Lord really reads. LOL. Watching you read my messages is amusing. I'm sure it is. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that, Cami. Thank you for sharing that. Just being at a place where you have no one else to turn to, and learning to fear the Lord that way. That's really cool because that's kind of where we were talking about taking Benea in a way. Oh, hi, Quentin. Quentin says hi. We were talking about like how the fear of the Lord is almost, how do I say this in a way? Like it's almost the antithesis, could be the antithesis of where Benea starts. So like we see the mighty men as these fearless men, right? And yet, so they have to learn the fear of the Lord. So fearlessness is often like what we see from our own strength, what we see, you know, I'm able to be fearless because I have the strength enough or the brain power enough or whatever to not be afraid of certain situations, versus the fear of the Lord is being confident in the one I serve, not confident in myself, in my own strength. So that's really good, Cami. Thank you.
Yeah. Making him a vulnerable and relatable character will give people hope that being a mighty man for Yahweh is attainable.
That's awesome. Thank you. I love it. I love. Keep it coming, guys. I love ideas like this. This is what we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so just a fun note right here. Before, so I'm not gonna give too much away. We learned well from Christopher. Yeah. Sorry, not Arnett. Sorry, buddy. From Christopher Stewart. We learned a lot of what's it called?
It's building suspense.
Suspense. That's the word.
Building suspense
Building
is now called pulling a Christopher. In case you didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it's pretty cool because this 2,000-hour challenge, we have to have one episode done, and then we have to have the outlines for 2 more. But they also have to be engaging enough, you know. So it's like this episode has got to come to a close, but still like make the audience want more. So we're gonna have 3 episodes in this series at least of Mighty Men, and from there it's cool because we're putting that in the 3X structure too, which will be really sweet because then it'll just keep growing and growing, making it all the better. And we have a theme for the overall 3, but I don't know if we're gonna tell it yet.
Because that's kind of, that's kind of a cool secret.
35, but
well, yeah. It was technically in front of you, but we won't, You didn't see it coming. Anyway, yeah, that's good. Okay. Christopher Arnett says, figured you were talking about him, LOL. Leela says, maybe Benaiah can struggle with worrying about his family being safe from Saul while he's absent fighting with David. Ooh, that's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm curious, because of that comment, like, how would you see Benaiah's relationship to Saul? Like, would you see it on the exact same footing as David's, or I'm curious to hear some more ideas on that. And we're getting several comments, so I'm sorry if I don't get to yours like super quick. I'm trying. But I'm curious, how would you see the Mighty Men's relationship to Saul, and how maybe throw out some ideas on like how that journey would happen of seeing Saul as king to now understanding that the Lord has chosen David, because like there's a pretty strong loyalty between the Mighty Men and David.
Well, he becomes his bodyguard, so it's basically like,
right,
if anything were to happen, Benaiah's going to take the hit, and he knows that.
Yeah. It's
like he's going to die if David even has the chance of death.
Yeah.
And he's not going to let that happen. So, I mean, he's got to give up some sense of not life, but he's got to give up some sense of like holding on to other things that don't matter so much, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing is that he does get married at one point.
Benaiah does?
Benaiah does. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because
he does have a son.
He names his son after his dad. I knew that. He also has a son like called Amizabad or something like that.
I don't get it. It's like you have all these cool characters, and they're like David, or Benaiah, or Daniel, or Job, or Moses, and then all the other people in the Bible have like 6-syllable names.
Right.
It's like all of the, so many of the other characters, not the main ones.
Okay, so I'm gonna go through some comments because I'm seeing them come in and I'm falling behind. Leela says, I missed the start of the video, so you may have already explained this, but is each episode going to be focusing on one of each of the 3 main Mighty Men?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Yeah, we're at least for these first 3 episodes that we're doing for the competition, we're planning to just be focused on Benaiah. And we don't necessarily even need to see everything. Like Ben and I talked about, there's three main things mentioned in 2 Samuel 23, where he kills the lion, he slays the 2 Moabite giants, and he kills the massive Egyptian with his own spear. Gregory says, hello, Gregory. Welcome to the brainstorming session. So then to answer your question quickly, Leela, we have to make 3 episodes, and each one of them have to be like a full story. Like it's almost hard to explain, but if you kind of think of like a Toy Story movie where you're like, you get to the end of it and you feel fulfilled, and yet like it leaves you wanting more, which may be a bad example because I got to the end of Toy Story and I was like, please don't make more. I don't want you to ruin it. But
well, Toy Story 3, but like if you look,
yeah,
like when you got to the end of 1, or for me, I grew up with 2. Like we grew up with 2. Like you got to the end of Toy Story 2, and then you watched it for years and years. When they came out and said that they were making Toy Story 3, your immediate thought wasn't, oh no. It was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, you know, so like we don't want to like fulfill his world, you know, we don't want to make him perfect by the end of the first one.
Right. Because he needs to be like, he needs to like overcome something in this first episode and yet not be like, and yet be able to overcome something in the next episode and not like backtrack with each one, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go to some comments from Facebook. Ted says fearlessness is not really a lack of fear, but rather a decision to ignore the that surrounds. Yeah. Well, and I can relate to that. Thank you.
Yeah.
No matter how much you try, you will see and feel fear. Fearlessness is the decision to act without a fear affecting what you do. It's okay. Yeah, even on top of that, I would add, like, I've heard it said before, what we fear is what we worship, and almost from the context of, if we're focused on our fear, then we're glorifying that above everything else. So how do we glorify God above everything else? How do we fear God above anything else, and not let any other fears stop us from our focus on Him? So that was well said, Ted. Are you guys going to continue on with more episodes after this, like a Netflix miniseries?
Well, I don't know yet.
It depends. We would love to, but it kind of depends on. Sorry if that was loud. Kind of depends on where the contest ends and what we're left with and where we're able to go from there.
Well, I mean after the end of the 3, I think we're talking about.
Oh, right. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. Depends on where God leads us after that point.
Right.
How much into detail do you want to go on the storyline that we have to get ideas along that line? Because, I mean, that might help sometimes. Because, I mean, if you're just getting general ideas, you know, like if we want to fit some ideas into...
Right, that's true.
Our 3X structure.
We didn't talk about this much before. We were like, we need a brainstorming session.
Let's do it.
Okay. I think that's good. We should probably go down that track next. Betsy says maybe Benea struggles being under David's leadership at first. That's so cool because actually, okay, we need to talk about our idea. Yeah. Okay.
It's
cool.
gonna get cool.
Go take it away, man.
It's about to get cool up in here. Oh man, let me start. Do you have it right here?
Yes, I do.
It's cool because I would love to see that. It's been a while.
I have the notes.
Here's the cool thing. We're going to start out. We're going to catch their attention right away because we're going to start right after David beheads Goliath. That's the basic start. And the basic idea is that Benea, his setup is that he starts in Saul's army. And then after David kills Goliath, you know, David gets promoted, you know, and then where'd we go?
Right here. Well, no, wait. This is kind of.
You've got 3.
I've got a lot of notes.
Wow. So yeah. So he's going to. So after he kills Goliath, the film continues. The next point is that the next point of what happens is that David goes to Philistia, right, to kill the Philistines to get Michal. So
which is Saul's daughter. So he wants to marry.
Yeah, he wants to marry Saul's daughter. So we're gonna track, most of the story is gonna track Benea in David's army in Philistia killing the Philistines.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So I mean, we're curious to know what you think of that as a setup. You know,
the setup.
Like if you're like, wow, it's not at all what I thought. But like, hold on. Give it some time. But more around in your mind, and then because we didn't necessarily like want to run. Some people have been talking about, you know, like making Benea relatable, so we didn't like want to run right to let's have him kill a lion in the first episode. If that's what he needs to do, fantastic. Like
that'll come eventually, one way or another.
Yeah, like
I
this
to make it happen.
If this needs to, yeah, like wherever the Lord wants to take this story, that's the most important part of this entire journey, is that this story is guided by Him and is accomplishing His purpose. So, beyond our ideas.
But past that, how much more do you want to go into detail? Like, we can give them an idea of like what we're looking. We can give them an idea of the highs and lows here.
We could just kind of walk them through this 3-act structure.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so our basic 3-act structure. Real quick, Gregory says Hebrew accent. Probably not. We're probably just gonna go with like a Midwestern American accent because
we're a bunch of people living in America setting a film in the Middle East.
Not because we couldn't go for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because it takes, I'd say like that will take more time, and we would want to do that really well if we did that. But good question, Gregory.
Yeah.
Okay, so just walk them through the 3-act structure. Do you want to address that? Okay. So we're going to go through the 3-act structure. And by the way, if we don't get to your question or comment, I'm sorry. We will look at all of them later. So keep them coming because we want to take them all into consideration. And you can still be contacting us even after this brainstorming session is over. But we will try to get to all of them. Okay, so our basic 3-act structure, the setup is, as Ben said, David's just defeated Goliath, and now Benea is chasing the Philistines down with the rest of Saul's army. Like the first high is that he volunteers to be a part of David's. What was he, captain over 1,000? Yeah, like there's.
Yeah.
So David kills Goliath, and then there's some jealousy from Saul, and Saul tries to kill him twice with a spear, and then he wants to get him like out of his palace, so he puts him as head over 1,000 men, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the concept that we have is that Benea volunteers to join those 1,000 men. And
no, we're probably not gonna have 1,000 guys because it's just not possible.
But we can make it look like 1,000. Okay. So then, So the idea is like Benea starts off with like this cocky attitude. The quick character description that we have for Benea is a man who fearlessly chases his desires. So, and this is setting him up for then having to come in contact with the theme and having to learn something as a character. Because if you see yourself as fearless, you probably have something to learn, right?
Which is the cool thing. Instead of, so like we had thought about going like the route of like being timid, you know, or shy or something like that. That's definitely a viable option, you know, being shy and then being fearless. But we were like, why not be fearless and then be fearless? You know, kind of like going from self-confident to God-confident. Is a good way to put it.
You actually said banana. You said banana.
Benea?
I have been informed by Josiah that I said banana instead of Benea. I'm sorry if anyone was confused. Thank you, Josiah. Okay. Okay, hold on. Before we get to comments, let me run through the 3-act structure real quick. So the idea is he volunteers for David and his 1,000 men, and then Benea's first low is that he's given a lower position than he thinks he deserves. Because, and kind of the backstory here is his dad is also described as a mighty man, as a valiant man in scripture. And so like I think Benea could kind of grow up with this concept of fearlessness and might and strength. Then he rises like through his accomplishments and through his work, he rises to the level of captain. And then some sort of dumb move that he makes brings him down to some sort of demotion. And then finally, so that would be like the lowest low is his demotion in rank. And then the highest high would be the victory over the Philistines. like him learning the fear of the Lord, which really, like, we don't have Benea's highest high yet. We just have like the setting around the setting in which it happens. So Benea's setting for the highest high would be the victory over the Philistines, and then like the ending would be David's or Benea's loyalty is cemented to David.
Yeah.
So that's like a really general outline. If you have things to add to that, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Lisa had a good one down here.
This is banana again.
If you end up doing a story where the bad guys raid Ziklag and kidnap all the families of the mighty men, and they have to go after them, that alone has enough material for the whole episode. I actually thought about that. It's like we're not having him married in this first one, so I'm like, that would be sweet.
I like that.
I have an idea, and I think she has the same idea for a nemesis type of thing in this Egyptian, and that's awesome. I love that.
That is cool. Oh, sweet. Thank you guys. Thank you for these ideas. These are so cool. In the third episode, a more mature Benea could have a young armor bearer he's sort of mentoring and training. Ooh, I like that. Maybe Benea doesn't trust or respect his fellow mighty man, the Hittite Uriah. This can also create conflict. Which mighty man was Uriah?
He was the one married to what's-his-face, and then David sent him out in the front of the army to die so he could
Oh, Bathsheba.
That was Uriah.
Gotcha. Fearless, as in just conquering it and fulfilling his desire. Yeah, we'll see it. That's so, Christopher, about your comment. Like, yeah, that's kind of where we're thinking to have Benea start, is like seeing himself as fearless and kind of like chasing his own desires, and then by the end of the episode to be more focused on God's desires and be walking in the fear of the Lord. Yeah. So let me get to some comments here. Thank you guys for writing in. Honestly, we had no idea how many people would join us, so it's really cool. Here is a quote you can use. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Let's not do accents this round. Haha. Yeah, that would be cool. I would love to do. I love accents, but
we have to find somehow to get it consistent, which is hard.
It's a great idea for a setting. Thanks, Ted. And Ted says, sounds like you guys need a lot of extras.
Yeah, so call your friends.
We will. Okay, so we kind of have some ideas on that too, as far as like getting our town, our local town is like a very like happy little town, like proud of its citizens and proud of its people. So
it's like
we're hoping to kind of tap into that. And
it's like a big town, a small city that wants to make itself feel like it's a big city. Which still makes you feel like awesome walking down walking down the streets, because it's like it feels awesome. It's like it has that small town feeling with the busyness.
Right.
Kind of feeling. It's nice.
So we want to like tap into the local people who would be interested in getting involved, and also like anyone else, literally anyone else.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, please don't make the trip from like say California to be an extra and like, it not be worth your time, but we would love to have you involved anywhere else, like anywhere. I mean, hey, if you want to fly from California to be an extra, more power to you. I just don't want you to feel like it's a waste of time. Okay.
Kimmy said, LOL, I love Hastings, especially the modern art. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Hastings has some new ideas.
Ted says, sounds like Papa. Yeah. Okay. Betsy says, it could start before he becomes a mighty man. That is, thank you. Yes.
That is the whole idea.
I love when you guys like comment things like this would be cool, and we're like, oh, that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, we actually kind of wanted to show the journey into him becoming a mighty man.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, this is something I'm not clear on yet, is like when they became a band of mighty men. if that was like when David was on the run, or I'm not sure like technically when they became David's group of mighty men. If any of you have insights on that, I'd love to hear, or ideas for how to show that in the film.
It, yeah. It's one way or another, it's gonna happen.
How historical are you trying to make this? From Betsy. We've kind of talked more about like giving it, if you guys have seen any Sight and Sound theater shows, what they'll do, they don't do like the typical bathrobe and towel look.
Oh, thank goodness.
They will usually like pick a certain theme for their shows. So like for the story of Jonah, they did for Nineveh, it was kind of an older Arabian look to it,
yeah.
And then other things were more what's the word I'm looking for? They were just there were some like Spanish type scenes, Spanish looking scenes. Like Joppa was a very Spanish. So that's more the feel we're going for, is like to more like Prince of Persia or One Night with the King. I would say I would say more like One Night with the King is kind of the feel we're going for.
Also, I haven't seen Prince of Persia. I need to see that one. 'Cause I've heard a lot about that, but I haven't seen it. That was kind of my thought in having this one specifically be like in Philistia, so it's not like meeting new people all the time. It's like if they're fighting the Philistine army, we can kind of get away with the same costume look. So we can, you know, it's kind of like the same design, you know, same armor pattern. So then we have less material to use, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Along those lines.
If that answers your question, I hope it does. I mean, really, that's still kind of in concept stage. But that's what we want to do. Like we don't want to go for like that. I don't know, like the stereotypical cheesy biblical look. Although I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, so we would rather like kind of pick a theme to channel it down. So we've said medieval so far, but that could change. Like we don't want to go for like knights in armor type of look.
What is it? Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Middle
like,
Eastern medieval instead of crusader.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna catch up on some comments here. Rob says that is what was so encouraging to him about David when he would read the stories of David as a child, that if David can make those mistakes but still be called a man after Yahweh's heart was so wonderful, because if he could be, then it was something that is possible. That, I love that. That is cool. And that's one thing that I think is so cool about like setting Benaiah next to David, is that, you know, those movies where you see a famous historical character, but you get to see them from someone else's eyes. Like this story is not focused on David. That's not what I'm saying. But like we get to see some glimpses of David from Benaiah's perspective, and I think that would be cool.
That'd be fun.
Look to Marvel for how to make people want to come back, but please don't make people dissolve in weird leaves to do this. That's so true. And hopefully maybe be a little less predictable than Marvel.
Well, they're running off of comic books. Like it's already, like it's literally already written down.
I know. I'm talking about a different kind of predictability, but that's okay.
That's fair.
Definitely want to see the family element that will bring the 2D pages of scripture to life. Maybe look into how each of them came to David. A lot of times a common wrong bands people together in terms of these kinds of renegade bands and strike forces. This is like a Marvel Cinematic Universe, only the Mighty Men Cinematic Universe. The raid could be how he gets his wife. Yeah. And actually, okay, here's something else I'd love to hear from you guys is, so this is obviously like focused on the Mighty Men, focused on Benaiah, but who referenced Marvel? That was Cammy, Ted. We don't want this to just be like all battles and stuff. Like we want to be able to see the strength of Benaiah in the Lord. But we also want to, like, we'd love to see, Ben mentions, you know, we'd love to see his marriage, we'd love to see his family, Now, like, probably won't be covering all of this in just these 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Is what I would.
Not in the first one.
Yeah, not all of it in the first one, but yeah, like, what are your thoughts on engaging people through more than just like the epic battle scenes, like how to make sure that there's quiet moments and make sure that there's family moments and things like that. Love to hear more from you guys there.
No, that's just like the hard part about this one is that it's under time crunch. Like the other ones that we have more time to plan would be nicer, obviously, but
right. Hopefully, maybe there'll be a day when we feel like we have enough time to plan one of our projects. Maybe.
I don't care if we have enough time, it's just not quite as strict a deadline.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But thank you for helping us, because
yes, this is very helpful.
This is super helpful for meeting our, like, we need to have the script written in 2 weeks, because then we have to get the script out to
a lot of people.
You okay, Ben? I have to get it out to the department heads and the actors and all those people, all that jazz. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for your help.
Yep.
Let's see. Maybe banana. Oh yeah, I read that. How they became a band. I bet they joined a few at a time and fought with David under Saul and defected when David did.
That's an idea.
That's a good idea. I like that. And that it could even be that they didn't all defect at once, but like slowly joined him over time, as I saw what David was really all about and actually fighting for. So that's good. I like that. Something that worked well for another production I worked with was start a private Pinterest board for all the art directors, personnel directors to collect images that had the look we wanted. Ooh.
I've heard of that. That's
I
a good
like
idea.
that. That's cool. Thank you, Leela. Hey, if anyone else has ideas like that, like things that have worked for you or would make our lives easier, I'm all about that.
Ron Howard said that he'll put sheets up of like the color schemes or something like that up by the bathrooms or the kitchen or something like that, so that when he's walking by and this director's walking by, like they're like, oh, hadn't seen that, hadn't looked at it this way.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
That's kind of like on set, or something like that. I don't know. That could be both.
Betsy said, I already started one. Which, by the way, there's another announcement. Betsy Clemens is our costume head. So I'm super excited about that. Betsy's good. Betsy says, I got a color scheme. Ooh, that's awesome. Thank you, Betsy. Okay.
I'm excited to see that. Oh, yeah.
If you have ideas that you want to put in the other movies, you could do some foreshadowing in this one.
That's what we're looking to do. That's why I want a nemesis. Personally.
Like a big nemesis to fight against later?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking
about?
Yeah.
Which, okay.
I like that.
I was looking at the 3 big things that he did: lion like men, and great Egyptian. But if they don't happen like one act, 1 episode, 2 episode, 3 episode, I'm fine with that. But I do want to have it build up, kind of like that. I do want to have something that he's building up to. It doesn't have to be like a revenge story, but it could be like a venge story.
Ted says, the Egyptian!
Exactly.
Yes.
See?
Confirmation.
I don't know why an Egyptian would be in Philistia, but hey, who knows? maybe he's just there.
Maybe he's traveling through and causing problems.
I mean, if he's a great man, how does it describe? It's like a wondrous man or a
spectacular man.
Spectacular man. If he's a spectacular man, I don't know. It could be cool. Like if they're going around and just like beating up all the Philistines. It just could be that little spark, like, ooh, there's somebody who's winning. I wonder how well he can do. Little nemesis.
Yeah, and by like just going through helping David defeat the Philistines for marriage to Michal in this first one, like we're kind of intentionally leaving the door open to like so much more story, because there's so much more potential for the story.
There's a lot.
Cami says, so I wonder if there's a way to tie a physical nemesis to his spiritual nemesis, given that the physical teaches the spiritual. That's
I
true.
thought about that too. If you have any ideas on that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, that's okay, that's cool, because that's kind of what we're going for, in the sense of he has to learn the fear of the Lord. Like, he thinks if he starts out with the mindset that he's fearless and doesn't need anything more than what he's got, then like the theme, the message is almost his nemesis that he has to come to understand and accept and live, if that makes sense. Like, I don't mean, I'm not saying, just to clarify, that I'm not saying the fear of the Lord is a bad thing. Like, that's what this is supposed to be all about. But like, it's opposite to his character, which makes him have to grow. Which is the whole idea of this type of story, this kind of personal growth story. It's like, you have what you want. If your character starts where you want him, then there's no growth and there's no story. Where does he go? It's kind of funny. I mean, it's like you have different types of stories, which both are really cool. You know, you have stories like, we'll take Marvel, for example. You have stories like Iron Man and Captain America. Captain America keeps making consistent choices based on his character, which is fantastic. Iron Man keeps shelling himself when you realize he's got insecurities, you know? They're both different types of stories. Both can work well with how you do it. But yeah, this is a more personal kind of story. So we want to start with, he's here, he doesn't realize it, then he realizes it, and then he's got to change. Mm-hmm. Which is cool. Which is life. Leela says, Benea is supposed to learn to trust in God's strength, not his own. I mean, so yes, but like in the sense of learning the fear of the Lord, which has to be a clear message, because it has to get across to the people who judge this contest and say, you know, you followed the rules of the contest or not, but at the same time, you know, not be like,
I'm not gonna do something. Yeah,
someone doesn't stand there and say, the fear of the Lord is the beginning, because that, I mean, it's technically a proverb, and so it wasn't actually written at this point.
And that's kind of like what I was wondering. It's like, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Well, what do you do with wisdom? You make better decisions. Mm-hmm. But you know, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So it's not just about making the right decisions, it's about making his decision. It's not about making the best decisions, it's about making the right decisions. That's another thing from this book. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, like, maybe he, like, if he has a bad decision, that's like his decision. And he thinks, this is what I need to do. And then there's a decision later that he's like, last time I made something like this, it was stupid. Mm-hmm. But now, if I've got to make it again, how do I, you know, I've got to trust that it's from the Lord, from Yahweh, because then it's like, it's no longer just, it's about following him, but it sets it up for fear. It's like, is he going to do it whether he knows it's right or not? Like, the first one was definitely his own decision. Mm. But then that puts the doubt in there. You know, like, that puts the self-doubt of, like, oh, I did this and it was bad. Mm-hmm. Next time I have to do it again. Something like it. It's like, is this from me or is this from Yahweh? And the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. So who am I going to fear? Who am I going to fear more? Am I going to fear more? Or am I going to listen more to my own self-doubt? Of like, am I going to be afraid to do that so much that I'm not afraid of letting Yahweh down?
Cool.
Does that make sense to anybody else?
I like that.
I'm telling you, that's been going up here the whole time. She just won't listen to me.
He's a genius. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Cool. So Ted says, if he got hired by a Philistine to attack various villages in Israel, talking about the Egyptian. That's cool. I like that.
What is it?
If the Egyptian got hired by a Philistine to attack various villages in Israel. So, like, he could be more than just Benea's nemesis. Like, he's a nemesis of Israel.
That's cool. You know, I want to know one thing I had in mind. I'm like, that's kind of like that's a typical thing, but it's like, you could do it really well. It's like, what if, like, say, for example, he gets married in the second one, and then, like, Philistine captures his wife.
No.
Aw.
He has to go rescue his sweetheart.
But like that, that leaves it up for another high climax.
Yeah?
I don't know.
That's good.
It's an idea. That's what this is about, Heidi. Don't shoot down my ideas.
I wasn't shooting them down. Okay, wait. Ted says he could be overconfident in his fighting skills and toys to save a small farm or something by himself instead of having help, but gets beaten by the Egyptian, resulting in innocent lives being lost. Oh! 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 Ben! That could be a stupid mistake. But that could, set him up for the Egyptian already. So even before we get to Philistia, that could be his mistake could be out of Philistia. I like that, Ted. That's cool. The Nea for the second comment. Yes. Okay. Got it.
So what's
I like that. So if here
and he's overconfident
when
right?
when he makes the stupid move and gets demoted, that's before Philistia, if I'm understanding correctly, because Benaiah is fighting the Egyptian. The Egyptian has been hired to make these raids on the towns, and then he fights the Egyptian.
But if that's the second fall, then that's already.
Depends on how fast you go. But I mean, that is.
You're right. My bad. We're gonna have this whole story, and then he's gonna go for the Philistia at that point in the movie.
No, he can be preparing his campaign.
David preparing his campaign.
Yeah.
I'm fine with having the idea of the Egyptian being in Philistia
or on the way to Philistia. That could be cool.
Heidi, you gotta keep in mind where you're trying to put this in the story.
I know.
This is really late in the story.
I know.
So what are you gonna have after that?
The attack of the 200 Philistines.
That seems even more cheesy than it did before.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we should talk about this right now. We're gonna witness this.
By the way, this is one of my favorite parts of story creation. When you have this collaboration, then you have all these people throwing ideas on the table, and then they all have to defend their ideas. Not in a fisticuffs kind of way, but in a okay, now defend your ideas. I love it. Okay, let's go through some more comments. How do you portray? Wait a second. How do you portray that he doesn't fear the Lord? He has to be doing something he shouldn't, like not bothering with praying before battle. True. Okay. Actually, that was one of my biggest questions. Was how are we going to portray that he's not fearing the Lord right off the bat?
Well, I think that's kind of how you portray it. I mean, it's kind of how you look at the verse, which is why for me, and I don't just want to say it's my idea, so it's the best one. It's the one that made sense to me. Yeah. Hey. Okay. That's why I kind of like the idea of the focus is more on fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So instead of trusting on yourself, you're trusting on Yahweh. So obviously you have to. So is the focus on the fear or the wisdom?
Ooh,
there's a difference.
That's a good point.
And maybe it's kind of a sly way to fit the verse in. It's not as obviously about fearing Yahweh, but it still has to do with the concept because it's more than just the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom.
Right, but if that's how you walk out the fear of the Lord is wisdom, then Benaiah can be walking in something that's not wisdom, which is actually kind of cool. One thing that's cool about that is that David goes to attack 100 Philistines, he has to attack and kill 100 Philistines for Saul, and he ends up doing 200. That could seem crazy and unnecessary and foolish, but is there a way that we can put that against something foolish that Benaiah does and show how David was walking in the fear of the Lord? Even our actions, if God gives us a dream, then, and like if he gives us a task to do, it won't necessarily look wise in the eyes of the world, but we can still be walking in the fear of the Lord. But sometimes, like, our foolishness is just our foolishness. Like, it's not a fool for Christ's sake, like what Paul was talking about.
Right. So how do you distinguish which action was his own fool?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's, yes, I know we need to do that. And how do we do that? And maybe we should go to people's comments because people are writing in. Okay, Christopher Arnett says, fear of the Lord is honoring God and trusting in him. Maybe after a while he finally receives his wisdom from God and it's more clear. It's honoring God and trusting him. Yeah. See, that's a good point. And I think we could show that journey. Like, I'm not exactly sure how to show that journey, but I think that we could show that journey. So that's good. Thank you. Leela says, are you sure you want to make the arch nemesis an Egyptian because the Amalekites are the bad guys who kidnapped their families at Ziklag? Maybe an Amalekite would be more useful as foreshadowing. Ooh, that's true. In fact, the Amalekite leader may be specifically targeting Benaiah's wife because he wants her. Yikes. Oh, whoa.
That's a cool idea. See, the bummer
That's
about this whole thing is that he kills a lion, he kills an Egyptian, and 2 Moabites. Like, none of those have the same nationality, besides one being a lion. You know what I mean? It's just funny because it's like it's hard to set up either one in this first one because it's like a Moabite or Egyptian. What on earth would they be doing in Philistia? Which, not that they have to be in Philistia, it just changes our structure. And
which our structure can be changed. It's just that it has 2 weeks in which to be written.
Yeah,
that's all.
We're speaking to the writer tomorrow.
Yeah, we are talking with some writers. And by the way, like I said, if you guys continue to have ideas and insight into any of this, please contact us. Yeah, you can contact us through the Joyful Voice Studios page or through our personal Facebook pages.
And if we don't use your idea, it's not because she hates you.
Hey, you just said just me. I love working with my brother. It's very entertaining.
Kimmy says this. I think he was raised to fear Yahweh if his father was also a mighty man. But things can happen that you feel make you distant from him. It isn't that he doesn't think he doesn't fear the Lord. It is that he has to learn what that really means for his life. There's an idea.
That's good. Man, thank you guys. These are great ideas. Leila says he doesn't fear Yahweh, so we see him yawning during scripture reading. Could be. Christopher, it's how he finds his wisdom. I think I missed the context of that comment. Was that in reference to the fear of the Lord? I'm assuming, but you can comment and say that. Do we have any more comments? Or are we caught up? Are we caught up?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
That'd be cool.
Probably not.
Well, actually, I almost hope that people just keep sending them in. By the way, it's 8:03.
Just looked at that.
We'll be. I think we should close down soon. Christopher says yes. Okay, so it was in reference to the fear of the Lord. Yeah, and I think that's a good way, kind of what you were saying, Ben, about like showing the fear of the Lord by him finding wisdom.
Right. I like those ideas, like praying or reading scripture are good. I just don't want to make it cheesy. It's like, it's like we're going through, like a well-crafted story, and here we are praying. And Benaiah's obviously not, so later he's got to pray,
True.
Which, not that it has to be done cheesy. Definitely not. It's got to be done tactfully.
Okay, so we're going to shoot to aim to...
We're going to shoot to aim. Shoot to aim.
We're going to shoot to aim.
That's a good idea.
We're going to aim to wrap this up by, what, 8:10? Probably a good idea.
Sure.
Okay, 8:10. If you want to hang with us, fantastic. Thank you.
Throw out all the rest of your ideas.
Yeah.
Now.
Share all the ideas, because the more you put on the table, the more we have to work with later. That's awesome.
If you can't get them all out, it's okay, because we'll send them to us some other way.
Yeah. Ted says, I was thinking this idea would be like if David sent him to scout with a few men to see where the raiding party is as they are beginning their push into Philistia on the way to kill the 200, and he sees the Egyptian and his men moving upon a small town, and rather than calling on the rest of David's band, just over the hill kind of thing, and instead of that attacks them with himself and 2 others to gain himself more honor in David's eyes, and ends up having both of them die. Maybe both of the Moabites are in the Egyptians' band of mercenaries. Ooh.
It's kind of a good idea. It's kind of putting a lot together at once.
Yeah, but it
could be, but like the
on the way to Philistia. Makes you happy, Ben, right?
We'll discuss this later. Without witnesses. That changed quickly.
Benjamin got scared.
I didn't get scared. I suddenly realized what I didn't want to say in front of 9 people.
Betsy says he admires David so much that he relies on David's strength and attributes everything to David. Oh, sorry, and attributes everything to David instead of the Lord. Maybe that's good too.
Leela
Mm-hmm.
Leela says in Scripture, keeping his commandments is usually in the context of fearing him. So maybe Benaiah is habitually ignoring the commandments because he doesn't fear judgment from God.
That's good. Yeah, and I think that'd be like a cool thing to draw out, kind of like what Cammie was saying. If it's clear that he was raised in a Yah-fearing family, then because like in the context of Israel, that would make sense anyway. And his dad was called a valiant man in Scripture, so I think that would be like if he's coming to some sort of doubting face himself or something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. The Egyptians are far from their homeland. Is the one Benaiah kills maybe like a mercenary and a champion like Goliath? Could be. I mean, that's a good point. Like they're not right next to. It doesn't really say.
He just says he jumps down into a pit with an Egyptian, takes his spear and killed him.
It says, Egyptian. Yeah, well, it just says so he went down to him with a staff, wrested the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Which is
it's just kind
so
of like there has to be something surrounding this, but like all of these things are just like, oh yeah, he followed a lion into a pit and killed him. He he went down and killed an Egyptian with his own spear.
And we're just kind of like, why?
Okay.
What context? Like,
it
leaves us all this room for imagination and like, where do we put him? Like, what was his motivation? And all that.
If Benaiah was a king, this would be the point in Scripture where it says, and what did he do from there? Is not the rest of it written in the annals of the kings? And we all go, oh.
I want to know.
If only.
Cammie says, I like the concept of having a hero that is more like a person like you and me, who is raised in the faith but is on the journey. A lot of stories take someone who has never had any and brings them to full faith, which is great. But having a hero that we can relate to is awesome. Thank you for pointing that out. I think that's good too.
Right there.
Yeah.
On that note,
I guess we should probably end. Although I love brainstorming sessions like this, and I love collaborating with you guys. So, if there's a way that you want to continue being involved in this process, like if you want to send us ideas, or if you're interested in reading the script as we develop it and giving us feedback, like we're up for that. Because again, more perspectives on a script help us to understand better. Like, is this script just affecting us this way because we wrote it and we're close to it, or is it actually something of greater substance than that? So yeah, if you're interested in staying involved, please let us know. You can go to facebook.com/JOYVOI, or you can go there, and then that has the links to everything.
Yep.
And Mighty Men updates will be coming out daily on the Mighty Men's fan page, which I should probably link in the comments too.
You should link the Indiegogo account.
Oh yeah, and by the way, we're raising money for this because it kind of takes money to put this all together. So if you can share that, like, okay, if you are able to donate to that, we would very much appreciate that. And if you're just like if all you're able to do is share it on your social media, that would be fantastic too. That would be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just shared the Mighty Men's fans page link, and you can get our updates from there. And then I will link our Indiegogo real quick.
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, 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 Indiegogo.
Leave it to us.
By the way, if you don't know us, we're like our start was in musical theater, so all those people who are like, nobody breaks out into random song, we're like, we do all the time.
You haven't been around the right people. No, you just haven't been. Those people haven't been around people who can sing.
Yeah. Ouch.
Hey,
I didn't say that.
some people don't know how to sing. I'm sorry. It's just true.
Okay, Ben's gonna go off the live chat now.
No.
Okay, so I posted our Indiegogo link there. If you're able to share that, fantastic. A couple more comments here. Maybe Benaiah is captured and alone, and they put him against the Egyptian. Ooh.
That's an idea.
Ooh, I like that idea too. Gregory says, I have had some people at my church say they'd love to see someone take a story out of the Bible and make it modern for our time. Yeah, I do too. I love to see when the message is so strong within a story that we even if it's not within our time, even if it's not within the context of everything that we understand in our day and age, that like we walk away with the message that God intended for us, like the application that he intended for us, because like the same message will affect different people differently, and that's what we're hoping to do with the message of Mighty Men is to speak God's message into it.
Yeah.
You know, like our prayers to be guided by him, and then to let him go, like to let him work in that message to the people, so we're not like shoving a message down their throats, but actually letting him work in it as he wants for each person. Y'all are awesome and fun. Thank you, Gregory. we have fun. We enjoy this. Okay, it's 8:12. People don't normally break out into song. If it's at a certain prayer, like the Shema before going into battle, possibly one of the Psalms, like "Blessed is the Lord my God who prepares my hand for war," or one of those, and Benaiah instead chooses to go prepare for battle by like sharpening his sword or something like that, i.e. preparing his own hand for the battle rather than God. That's good. That's good. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to take all these ideas and work on the script. Yeah. Hope to work with you guys on set or to keep updated with you. Please interact with us because we would still love to hear from you guys and hear your thoughts on the story and the journey. So I guess we'll say so long.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.